All right. This is the Bones of B Banter Hour with Forgotten B, and today our special guest is Officer. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, well, first off, we've been off the air for a few weeks because we've had a lot of stuff going on, and now we bring Officer on, and it's good to have you on because I've been playing your songs. I've been lucky to get passed along your songs in the past 3 or 4 weeks. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback because you seem to have a very unique style of playing, which is good because a lot of stuff out now is not necessarily unique. I mean, it's got a little their own twist on it, but not enough to make me kind of get into it, whereas yours kind of caught me a little off guard in a good way.
That's really cool to hear. That's kind of the best compliment I could hope for, that it kind of stands out as being something unique. For me, I kind of just have run very much with kind of from the creation of the songs, run very much from what I wanted to hear from them, and kind of I guess I did shut myself off from influence for a little while while I recorded the album. So it's nice to hear that it kind of has its own mark on it, so to speak.
Well, that's not a bad thing either, because obviously, it's you always obviously the goal is not just to make music that you like and you can get into yourself, but you want to put your mark on it. And that's what you want. You want it to stand out and make a difference, as opposed to some run of the mill pop band or what have you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I listen to such a wide range of stuff constantly, but in the weeks that I was making the album, I felt like I could have been in a place where I kind of had, if I was listening to stuff at the same time, I'd be trying to inject bits of things into it. But I just decided, actually, I'm just going to get totally absorbed in this for the kind of 8 weeks that I made it, and then let it run.
No,
let it be what it is.
I was just going to say, I find that really interesting because I feel the same about my poetry, where there's a lot of people doing micropoems and poetry, and obviously it's sort of taking off, but sometimes I don't want to overread or look into other people's, because I think you do end up sort of almost, adopting their style. And I mean, I think that's why I really like Lynn Gerard, because she was very different. She took a different kind of approach to my side, whereas I'd be the light, she'd be the dark. And that's why I enjoy reading hers. And I mean, obviously I know you performed with her, which was amazing, I'm sure.
Yeah. Obviously I hadn't actually read or heard much of Lynn's stuff, and I kind of just turned up to kind of support her, the release of her book, but was totally blown away by her. She's really talented, really funny and engaging, but also has this kind of she has this ability to kind of pull you in all sorts of different directions at the one time, and writes really kind of hitting, but then also really fast, quick poems that just make you giggle. So she's an incredibly talented woman.
She was great to have on, wasn't she?
Oh yeah.
She was great fun.
Admittedly, I didn't know what.
I think she was really nervous, but actually, when she kind of got going, it was fascinating. She, there's a real kind of depth to her, which obviously comes out in her work anyway. But yeah, really cool.
Yeah, when Mike actually had me stay at their house when I went up there to play those couple of gigs, and
oh wow,
so much fun, just laughing all the time, really. But it surprised me actually that when I first met Lynn, it was kind of in her event. And she just came across as she just owned it. But then, she seems to have that kind of really shy side as well, where she kind of wonders if it's working and stuff like that. But it completely works.
Well, once she settled in, she was you couldn't stop her talking. But it was a lot of fun. So B, I'm sure you've got a few questions.
Yeah, I have. You were basically born in Glasgow and you were raised in Northern Ireland. So just tell me a bit about that. I mean, what's the kind of differences?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit there.
Okay. I was saying that you were born in Glasgow and you were raised in Northern Ireland. And,
sure.
And I think you're living in London now, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, with your kind of upbringing, how do you find the differences between Glasgow and Northern Ireland?
It's got Northern Ireland. I left Glasgow when I was really young. Of actually living there all the time, I don't have loads of memories of it. But I would spend a lot of my summers coming back over and spending a good 4 to 6 weeks with my family there and in around Glasgow as well, and Greenock and Paisley and places like that. What were the differences? I think that I love my family there, just kind of lived in the inner city and stuff like that, and whereas when I was in Northern Ireland, I kind of lived in a little estate in a smaller town where kind of very quickly you could escape out to the coastline and stuff like that, into kind of really dramatic Irish coastline. Wow. So I think probably the biggest difference for me was just when I was back visiting Scotland, being caught up in kind of really interesting, often tricky circumstances on these estates in Glasgow and Greenock and places like that. But then similarly, it's kind of funny because similarly back home, I grew up for most of my life up until my mid-teens in estates in Coleraine in Northern Ireland, which there's such a majestic beauty to that area of Ireland, but there's also, as you know, just kind of there's a trickiness there in its tribalism as well at times.
So did you get kind of stereotyped from one place to the other? Because I know they did you feel, which would you class more as your home?
I think that most of I left Glasgow when I was 5, so most of my upbringing was in Northern Ireland. So I feel I don't know what it's one of the things that I kind of think almost feeds into my music a little bit, is the fact that maybe there's a slight kind of nomadic quality to my music, because I'm not really sure kind of which I kind of identify with the most out of the two. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I've been in Scotland for the first time in a few years recently, quite a bit, and just really felt a reconnection happening there and stuff like that, which has been really cool. But then, of course, in the years between, I was kind of growing up and spending most of my time in Northern Ireland.
Oh, cool.
Now, when did you kind of start getting into music, like playing guitar and that sort of thing? Did you start at a young age, or just pick it up like in your early teen years? Like, when did that come around?
I remember, from when I was pretty young, I just remember being in pubs and being at things like Cayleys and just gatherings in Northern Ireland of people just being ridiculously talented folk musicians, and also just in that kind of context, there would always be just such a mix of music, from really folky stuff up to kind of, at that time, I guess, modern kind of folk, like people like Clannad and stuff like that, then mixed in with like really ancient folk and people like Christy Moore and people like and then right up to at that in my kind of early teens started to listen to a lot to the Clash and Radiohead and people like that. So and yeah, like there was an awful lot of spiritual music that I was exposed to growing up as well, and like kind of music that was kind of linked to kind of religious activity and stuff like that, and definitely was impacted by that and the soul of that and stuff as well. So kind of all that was a bit of a melting pot when I was growing up. So yeah. And I think I got my first guitar when I was like 18, I think 17, 18.
Okay.
So I was older than you'd expect. I think a lot of people start playing music.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it's a lot of people start their careers later for music. I mean, perfect example is Frank Black from the Pixies. Like he didn't.
Oh really?
Yeah, didn't even start till he was 30.
Quite
really.
Yeah.
What? That's incredible.
Yeah,
Kim I was going to say, it all depends on people's lives, though, doesn't it? And what happens, I suppose, and through their life and what journeys they go on, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Because the rest of the band was younger, but yeah, he was the oldest one.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's pretty inspiring, actually.
There's a random musical fact for you.
It's funny.
What instruments do you play?
So on the album, I play a bit of guitar, a bit of keys and synth. That's about it. Maybe a little bit of percussion here and there. But I worked on the album with a really good friend of mine called Daniel Peterson, who is a bit of a genius when it comes to. He's a bit of a multi-instrumentalist and stuff. So he nailed a lot of stuff. My other drummer Danny. My other friend Danny, he drummed on the whole thing. My mate Neil, Tim Anderson, Neil Gillespie, Daniel Coghill, Daniel Peterson, Keith Allen. I brought together a whole pile of friends, and we just kind of.
Because Danny actually produced it, didn't he? Produced your album.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's a really talented musician who himself is releasing an album soon. He's from Sydney and been living in London for about 15 years, and him and I connected through the fact that we both work in London helping homeless people.
Right.
So we met doing that, and kind of we were like star-crossed lovers, and we just thought, yeah, you're the one for me. I think that was my line. Next thing, he was producing my album all up in my face.
So should we play a track?
Yep. Actually, I was thinking we were going to get to The Waters. This is Officer. Do this.